So I'm Peter Cheese, the Chief Executive of the CIPD. We had a Q&A session really talking about the future of work. You know, all these different trends have been debated during the course of the conference. What does this all add up to? As the professional body for HR and people development, these are incredibly important themes for us. We've been talking for a while now about these mega trends, the changing nature of work, the jobs that we do, particularly as impacted by technology, changing nature of the workplace, how many more are working, flexi working or working for themselves and all those sorts of shifts, virtually working, home working. And then the changing nature of the workforce itself, you know, much more diversity, generational differences and so on. So we're really trying to pull a lot of those themes together during the Q&A and say, all right, what did that mean? And were we seeing signs of progress? Was HR kind of stepping up and being part or even facilitating those kinds of debates about what the future of their organisation should really look like? And I profoundly believe that we are at this inflection point with all these trends. It is about creating a future of work that is good for people, and that should be at the very centre of the agenda and debate for the profession itself. We're doing more and more to engage not just within the profession of HR, but beyond it to business leaders, to policymakers and so on. You know, so one example is we are supporting and trying to encourage now the setup of a Future of Work Commission, because we need to bring all these different dimensions together. We need to bring business perspectives, policy perspectives, thought leaders, academics, professionals in HR and so on together to say, so what do we all think? Because the dimensions that we're trying to wrestle with are many, and we are still operating in many senses in a paradigm of work that was constructed in the 20th century, which includes our policies and our practices and how we think about organizations, but also our regulatory and legal employment law and policy environment also has got to shift radically. I'm going to give you a simple example. We have so many people today who are self-employed, but we don't know the exact number. We don't exactly know how many people are self-employed, how many are flexi working, how many are job sharing. Those sorts of statistics are vital because it's somewhere between 50 and 30% of the workforce. But if we don't know who they are, and we're not supporting them effectively, and we're not looking at things like pensions and all those other things that people need, then we have a big mismatch with the world of policy and the emerging world of work. So it's a very profound debate, and as I said, we certainly in our role as the professional body for the profession are trying to encourage these much wider discussions about the future of work. Yeah, I think in terms of what business leaders and HR professionals can do, I mean, the first thing is to pick their heads up and look out. Because the reality is, of course, we get very absorbed by our day jobs and we're kind of a bit downward focused in terms of processes and policies and all the things that we love creating. At this point in time, we've got to pick our heads up and look out. We've got to see these trends that are going on because they are affecting every organisation. We know, just basic stats, like how many organisations are struggling to fill all their job vacancies. It's up to about 40% now. Or how many organisations are seeing ageing workforces and young people coming to the organisation and then not staying. I mean, there are a lot of trends right here and now. We need to understand those, look out in terms of the wider context, and also look out in terms of the context of what are organisations doing, other organisations doing to respond to all of this stuff. And we have so many different examples today of organisations innovating, ripping up the old best practices stuff or whatever, the old books of telling us how we should do these things, and say, well, if it's not accomplishing the purpose, if it's not engaging people properly, if people are still leaving, if we're not getting the performance and productivity that we need, then we should do it differently. And I think that's the challenge to all of us in a world which is much more diverse now, is to forget best practice, look at lots of different ways of doing things, go back to first principles, and then create what is right for your organisation. Well, I think it's been another great event, and just from the size of the audience this time around, you can see how much the kind of issues and the speakers that are talking from these different dimensions of the future of work, how much that resonates. I wasn't here for the whole day, I'll be honest, but I always love listening to people like Clive Woodward, who I heard a little bit towards the end, and of course Alan Watkins, who we are doing a lot of work with. I mean, his thinking about the future of leadership development and separating the difference, which I'm very, very keen on, this idea of separating the difference between learning and development. Learning our technical competencies, but how we develop as individuals. And I think all of that is so resonant and relevant in today's world.